Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Thursday to you and yours. We're almost to the weekend. Fantastic show planned for you today. Bryson Gray in studio with me today. Round of applause for Bryson Gray. Yay, Bryson Gray's here. That's always great to have someone in studio, and particularly Bryson on today because Donald Trump had a town hall meeting on CNN last night, and there were fireworks everywhere. TJ Moe is going to join us in the A block as well. A round of applause for TJ Moe. TJ Moe is going to join us from St. Louis. He watched Donald Trump as well last night. So Steve Kim's going to join us. We'll talk a little sports, but we got to talk Donald Trump first. Jordan Bowles is going to join us, but we have to talk Donald Trump first. And before I show any highlights, I just want to give everybody a chance initially to give their initial thoughts on how they thought Donald Trump performed last night. I thought he totally obliterated CNN. I thought my number one takeaway, I think was an obvious that most people had, was like, could Joe Biden for 70 minutes stand toe-to-toe with an adversary who was interrupting and trying to correct and injecting? After 2.5 years or however long we've been dealing with Joe Biden, just to see someone that sharp and be able to go topic to topic to topic and follow the conversation and have quick responses, it's very hard. It would be very hard to convince me that last night was a bad look for Donald Trump. I thought it was a good look. Bryson?
I'm very critical of Trump when I feel like he deserves it. But what I will say is last night, I felt like I was watching 2015 Trump. I'm not going to lie. It was very entertaining. That was a Trump a lot of us supported. That was the Trump a lot of us voted for. Now, for biblical reasons, obviously, I still have issues. But that's the Trump. That's the Trump we want to see right there. I loved it all the way through. I mean, the abortion stance was abortion was weak, but that's different.
We'll get to that here in a second. TJ, your thoughts?
I loved it. He's one of the few guys that isn't. He's not only not afraid to go into the lion's den, he actively seeks it out. And so he's the one who set this up. I think he reached out to CNN and probably said, hey, you guys are a dying company. If you want me to save your ratings again, I will. And bring out whoever you want. I will go out there and go toe-to-toe. And so this is why people love Trump. I mean, we've talked a lot about this in the past. Trump is a fighter. And Republicans, historically, are the John McCains. They just are. They're apologetic, and I get it. He's a military guy and all that, but John McCain on the political stage was weak, and Republicans are tired of weak. So what they got to see last night was a fighter. That is the draw to Donald Trump.
And not only is he a fighter, he'll fight anyone. And so here's this woman trying to go toe-to-toe with him, and he was like, "Oh, you want to fight? I'll fight." And that. You're saying 2015 Donald Trump, and again, let's remove the abortion thing for now. We'll talk about it here in a second. That was better than the 2015 Donald Trump. And the reason I say that is because when I heard him in 2015, I'm like, man, this dude ain't never been president. He don't know what he's talking about. He just pulling it out of his rear end. Now he's sitting there like, no, this dude's been president for 4 years, and he knows exactly what he's talking about. And so it added a layer of credibility to him. And so I'm gonna jump ahead before I go back to the Kaitlan Collins, the woman he was. But here's what I thought was his best moment. She tried to get him to call Putin a war criminal. And I thought, man, this dude just took her to school. This sounded very presidential, very adult, very experienced, and just far more savvier than this little robot woman who was sitting there trying to pretend like she knew more than Donald Trump and he's such a liar. Play the clip of him correctly saying why he didn't want to call Putin a war criminal.
Do you believe that he is a war criminal?
What?
Do you believe that Putin is a war criminal? He's responsible for the deaths of thousands of Ukrainian men and women and
I think it's something that
children.
should not be discussed now. It should be discussed later, because right now we have to get a war. If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped. Because if he's going to be a war criminal where people are going to go and grab him and execute him, he's going to fight a lot harder than he's fighting, under the other circumstance. That's something to be discussed at a later date. Right now, we want to get that war settled. And I'm not talking about the money either. I'm talking about all the lives that are the number of people being killed in that war is far greater than you're hearing. When they blow up a city and those buildings come pouring down and then they say 2 people were injured, no, hundreds and thousands of people are being killed, and we have to get that war settled.
I thought that was his best moment. And again, this is where, TJ, I'll go to you first and then we'll swing to Bryson. I think this was a better version of Donald Trump. It was the best version of Donald Trump I feel like I've ever seen.
I think that's true, because I think what happens oftentimes is Trump, when he feels attacked, starts saying somewhat irrational things, and he can drown on forever and just go on. And so we know this about Trump. Trump likes people who like Trump. That if you're going to encapsulate Donald Trump in one sentence, that's it. Trump likes people who like Trump. Zelensky likes Donald Trump. And so I actually think he had some incentive to say Putin's a war criminal. And you should not, because he got impeached over the whole deal. And Zelensky was the guy who came out and said, hey, man, remember the perfect conversation and such? And Zelensky came out and said, there was no quid pro quo with me. I don't know what you're talking about. And so I actually think Trump had some incentive to say, hey, you're attacking my boy. And he didn't. That was one of the few times, I think, self-discipline when speaking is not one of Trump's greatest strengths, but I think he showed some last night. And that was when we talk about, the art of the deal and negotiation and all of that. Trump prides himself on that. And I actually think you saw that on the big stage last night. Like, that was an actual, let me show you how this is done, CNN. You don't just go out there and act crazy. It's like when he was telling everybody, about withdrawing from Afghanistan. He's like, you don't tell them the day you're going to withdraw. What's the matter with you? You don't tell everybody your war plans. Let's get things figured out. So that was business Trump at his best last night.
Did you have a favorite moment from last night?
I think that I think that was it. It was along the same lines, perhaps not that exact moment. It was when they tried to pin him down on the Democratic talking point of, hey, you're pro-Ukraine, right? And he said, I just want to get the war stopped. He's like, I'm not taking sides here. Do you know how many people are dying? I just want to stop the war. And she asked him 3 or 4 times, tried to pin him down. Do you want Ukraine to win? He's like, I don't look at it like that. And you can't put me in this box, and I'm not going to do it. So there was another moment of discipline for Trump that I think was the right answer. And again, perhaps had some incentive to be on Ukraine's side, because Zelensky had done him a favor once upon a time, but he didn't take the bait.
Bryson, did you have a favorite moment last night?
Of course I did.
Oh.
My favorite moment is obviously when he called her a nasty woman. Because she was a nasty woman. She wasn't there to host a town hall. She was literally there to debate Trump. And not only did she debate him, she wouldn't even let him respond to things she said. It was like so disgusting. I mean, typical modern woman in 2023. But it was just so disgusting that you couldn't even let the man speak or let him respond. And one time Trump said, can I respond to that? Like, can I respond to that? Like, you can't just toss out something and not let me respond. Like I said, I can see the argument for this being peak Trump. I'll even give it to you. This is top tier Trump right here, man.
Let's play the clip of him calling her a nasty woman. Or a nasty person, I think is what he actually said.
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Why you held on to the document?
See, and CNN jumped to defend her, and I'm sure leftist wall jumped to defend her, but that snark of, yeah, that's why I asked it. She's outside of her role. And not that I even mind, that she was outside of her role, because I think what I saw last night was better than a debate. 4 or 5 candidates, or even just 2 candidates on the deal. These debates with the little time, clock and all the when they can talk and who asked the question. This was an actual debate. I didn't mind it, even though it was billed as a town hall. I didn't mind it. I thought it worked in Trump's favor. That okay, you want to get it on, let's get it on. And you want to sit here. And again, I would imagine this woman is maybe 40 years old and Trump is pushing 80. And for him to be lighter on his feet, more intelligent, more quick-witted than someone half his age, I just thought was an outstanding look. And contrasted, there's no one that can watch that and think, oh my God, what would happen if Joe Biden was in this arena dealing with this? Because I saw people saying, hey, Joe Biden should do this with Tucker Carlson, have a town hall with Tucker Carlson. Joe Biden would wet his pants. I mean, there's just no way.
Yeah, I think Trump, if he was a boxer, I think if Trump was a boxer, his greatest feature would be being a counterpuncher. So I do agree with you, Wags. That's such a beautiful take, because I think her being very combative brought out the best Trump. Without her being the silly woman she was, we wouldn't have got the Trump that we saw last night. So I do agree. He's very quick-witted, and you're right. He is pushing 80. Excellent job, man. A+ for me.
So I think you and TJ agree on the worst moment for Trump. Bryson, I'll let you unpack it first, and then TJ, you follow in behind.
So obviously it's the abortion issue, and the abortion issue seems to be a fall from grace for conservatives now, and it just started quite recently. It's this soft look on abortion, shouldn't be just outright illegal, cases of rape and incest. You're making up all these excuses, but is it murder or is it not? If it's murder, then it's murder. It should be treated as murder in our law. If it ain't murder, then stop saying it's murder as a conservative talking point and show your true colors. That's what I want from Trump. That's what I want from everybody. Just admit you are liberal on the issue. That because in this country, abortion was illegal up until the 70s. So in every state in this country. So I think we need to start being honest about this conversation and see who really cares about the unborn children.
TJ.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Either we are made in the image of God, Genesis 1:27, or we're not. Either we're fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalms 139:14, or we're not. Either God knew us before we were in the womb, Jeremiah 1:5, or he didn't. If you're a Christian and you're trying to tell me this is a states' rights issue, then you're not a Christian. I can't help you. And that conservatives, and particularly Christian conservatives, are telling on themselves. They're like, no, it's a states' rights issue. And what you're saying is, I don't actually care if babies are murdered in California. Just say that. Just tell me the truth. I don't care about New York babies. Those babies don't matter to me. I'm only a Christian here in St. Louis. And so I got real problems with it. The other thing is, I just think conservatives, even take the Christianity out of it. Conservatives have no idea how to play offense, and it just drives me insane. Conservatism is a naturally defensive position, right? We're trying to preserve the good things about the Constitution. We're constitutionalists. This is who we are. And progressive, even with their bad ideas, they're always pushing for change. Well, for 250 years, we're playing defense, and that's how you lose. This is why my entire life, and long before that, conservatives have just ceded ground forever. You just keep going backwards. So learn something from that. You can only score touchdowns playing offense. And so go get something. And how you go get something is you say, this is a federal issue because we care about the sanctity of life in America, no matter where these children are born. And so they're saying, well, it's too radical of a position. Well, if you want to learn something, if you push a more radical position, this is the probably the Bernie Sanders doctrine, right? The more radical your position is, the more moderate the other positions look. So suddenly people would think, well, states' rights aren't so bad when you're saying that we should stop abortion everywhere, and everybody would stop arguing against it. So I just think it's bad strategy, and I also think Christians are idiots if they actually go with that position.
I'm going to defend President Trump. Let's play his clip talking about abortion and him bragging on himself and taking credit for the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. Let's play the clip.
The fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying, they worked for 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. They worked, and I was so honored to have done it. We are in a very good negotiating position right now, only because of what I was able to do. And remember this, again, you talk about radicalism. People that will kill a baby in the 9th month or the 8th month or the 7th month or after the baby is born, they're the radicals, not the pro-life.
I just want to give you.
Listen, he gave a political answer. He's not a conservative. He's not a Christian.
He say he is.
What do you think?
Nah, he said he don't ask God for forgiveness. So,
So he's a politician. He gave a political answer. My expectations for Donald Trump are to give a political answer. He wants to get reelected. What as a Christian, and again, I reject a political identity. I don't like being called a conservative. I certainly don't like being called a Republican. I've never voted. I've intentionally tried to avoid a political identity. I know I have one now, being partnered with the Blaze, and you know, the Democrats have left me no choice but to call them evil and satanic. But that's just my biblical worldview pointing that out. This man is a politician trying to get reelected. He's sitting here saying, look, guys, we've been fighting this battle for 50 years. I got it done. I got Roe v. Wade ended. I'm going to take a step back, and it won't be part of the next 4 years, hopefully, that I get. Someone else is going to have to carry the ball. I just won a 50-year battle, and so give me my flowers is basically what he's saying. And if I start down the path that Bryson and TJ want me to go, I may not get reelected. And it may turn off so many women and so many suburban voters or whatever that I may not get reelected. So he has a very short-term goal that he feels like if I can get reelected, if I can get another 4 years, if I can name another Supreme Court justice or two, then perhaps what Bryson and TJ want could be a reality.
There's an issue with this theory. The first thing is, if Trump deserves flowers for Roe v. Wade being overturned, which I think he does, then George Bush also deserves flowers, because without Clarence Thomas, it wouldn't have got overturned. But I do think, we're going to give flowers to give both. But see, people aren't going to want to concede to that point. Secondly, this whole theory that women, conservative women or Republican women, are sort of partially pro-choice is it's just not true. If you look at any exit poll data, you can find something different in a state here and a state there. But if you look at the exit poll data, the majority of Republicans want abortion illegal, the majority. Not only that, if you look at the exit poll data from 2022 midterms, we flipped we improved in every single voter group except for single women, but we didn't lose in single women. We just remained stagnant compared to 2018 midterms, and I'm comparing those two because it's without a president on the ballot. So we actually had so much improvements by being more harsh. Do you know which groups we lost in? There's only one we lost. We decreased. The LGBT. You see, that's the only group that Republicans decreased in the 2022 midterms. So I don't think people are looking at the numbers. I think people are looking too much at social media. And you see these abortion advocates being loud, and you think, well, if we go too hard on abortion, then, man, that means we won't get the vote of women or young people. But statistically speaking, it just isn't true.
TJ, you got it. That's interesting, Bryson. TJ?
I agree with Bryson on all of that. I will also add that I think conservative women are probably the strongest advocates of pro-life in America. That they're the ones leading the charge. And you got those of us that are with them. But these are because these women have had babies. They've actually felt the movement of their children inside of them. And these are the idea that women are not pro-life, I think, is absolutely crazy. Now, you got the independents and you've got the satanic leftists who just want to kill their children. But you're going to have to show me a position on the left that they've said is too radical that they've backed off on, and they're still winning elections. So why are we playing by a different set of rules? Like which position? Every time we say that's too radical, it's going to lose them an election, they double down, and then they win the election.
Well, I believe, and I know CNN will disagree, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, they're winning elections because they're better cheaters, and they harvest votes better. I do what Trump did, and I don't know if this is how bad my memory is. I can't remember if Trump said this. I watched so many clips, and I watched the thing last night. I can't remember when he and what he said, but I think he pointed out at one point was this in the clip we just showed where he said like they want abortion at 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. They're even talking about abortion after birth. He pointed all the wickedness and the evilness of it. And so I thought that was a very clever tactic, or I thought that was more aggressive than what Trump was in 2015 or at any point in his life of an understanding, like he's coming into an understanding of like, man, these people really are evil. They really, there's no limit to when they think they can't kill a baby. I thought he pointed that out. I thought that was an appealing message. I think he believes if he goes too far, there are some women that are sitting on the edges, maybe not conservative women, but he's trying to expand and perhaps reach out to people that are finally starting to understand, like, hey, this is good versus evil. And his calculus is they're not ready to hear, like, if I stand there as president and say all of this is murder, they're not ready to hear that. But what they will understand is like 7, 8, 9 months after birth. Wow. And so it opens people's minds. Take me. Until Roe v. Wade was overturned, and I saw women and nut jobs out in the streets convulsing and acting like killing a baby is the most important thing. I saw women, some woman running around like she had blood in her vagina and a baby, and I'm like, all of it just lays like, these people are evil and possessed. If your most important position is killing a baby in the womb, that's what wakes you up in the morning, and that's what, like, you are evil and you have a problem. And I thought he pointed that out. I get where you guys are coming from, but my expectations for any politician and any, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's call him a Christian in infancy.
That's a long infancy.
I think that's too high of an expectation. The other clip I wanted to play is CNN getting crushed post-town hall. Post-town hall, they tried to interview the audience or some people that were watching the debate, and they were ripping Trump for talking about the 2020 election. And Trump has done such a great job of educating America to like the narrative and fake news and how it actually operates. To see someone call out this CNN broadcaster in real time, just an audience member call out their BS and what they're doing. I don't think we've ever seen this before. Let's play that clip.
Does it bother you that he keeps talking about 2020 and not 2024? I'll ask you first. This is Jonathan Leslie. He's 40, Republican, voted for Trump twice. How do you feel about those lies?
So I feel like part of it's also the media narrative, as you guys asked him the first question at the town hall about the 2020 election, rather than current stuff.
So don't you think he could say it's time for me to start talking about 2024 and not lies that aren't true?
Couldn't the media ask him a question about 2024?
Well, there were questions, but you're right. That was the first thing, but that's something that was on our mind. And that's why I was asked first, Mike.
That was awesome.
Okay, that was amazing.
And that's the game they play. They ask a question about 2020 and then blame Trump for talking about it. Mm-hmm. They spent 20 some odd minutes talking about 2020. I don't know how many minutes they spent on January 6th. And then post-show or post-town hall, when they first turned to some panel, I think that Jack Tapper was maybe hosting, or he was on with Anderson Cooper, and it was 5 women and 2 men, and listening to their whole conversation. I was just like, y'all crazy. This is nuts. Go ahead.
Jay Tapper said the most chilling moment is when he called her a nasty person coming off of being liable for sexual abuse. So it's really the Democrat version of 5D chess, right? They set you up, make you answer something, and then make you to blame you for it afterwards. I mean, that's the game they play. Their version of 3D, 5D chess, and it seems to work for a lot of Democrats. I don't think it works for anybody else, though.
They've produced, in my mind, a far more formidable foe in Donald Trump. Not only is Trump better than he was in 2015, his supporters are better.
I don't think so at all. Nah, I think his hype, because everybody was more united. Even in 2020, the Trump supporter base was more united. I think now it's so divided. Like, now you got a lot of DeSantis people, and you can barely find even, like, I'm not a big fan of Trump right now, or DeSantis for that matter, but I'm letting you know he had an A+ last night. There are many DeSantis supporters that won't even admit that. So I feel like there's so much division in this movement. I don't think the support base is the same, but maybe he can replace that with new support base, possibly.
You think Trump's... DeSantis is polling at what, 19% or 8%?
Yeah, but the people that's like pro DeSantis, a lot of them are saying they won't vote for Trump, period.
I think that's nonsense. Look, I'm a DeSantis guy right now. I will happily move to the Trump camp if and when Trump proves that he's the 2015-16 version of Trump and not the 2021 version. You know, it is funny that you guys, just to backtrack for a second, they said, you know, aren't you tired of him talking about the past? And he said, well, you guys asked him about it. He's like, well, it was on our minds. So, well, then maybe it's on his mind. Maybe it should be on your minds too. It was on CNN's mind to ask the question. And so I do wish, because this is one of my biggest problems with President Trump. I would love for him to say, guys, listen, you know exactly where I stand on the 2020 election. I don't know how much more clear I could be than that. But I am watching this guy named Joe Biden destroy our country. So I'm going to look forward to 2024. And I have already proven what I can do for this country, and I will continue to fight. That's why I declared earlier for the presidency than anybody in the history of America. I told you virtually right away, I'm running again, and then I'll declare as soon as I can where it makes some sense for campaign finance, and then he went at it again. So I do actually wish he would move past that and say, guys, listen, I'm just going to get after it. I'm going to do exactly what I did in 2016, and as a current DeSantis guy today, I can be persuaded. I promise you, I was one of the guys that if I wasn't in St. Louis on January 6th, I would have been out there with Bryson. Weren't you there? I would have been out there. I was in the building. Yes, I'm just telling you, it's Trump has a gift, and it is a gift of uniting people with a passion that you've never seen. His rallies, you've never seen anything like it in the political world. This dude can fill stadiums, and I think if he can bring that magic back from 2016, that 19% for Ron DeSantis will go right back into the Trump camp.
You're not dropping on board with Trump.
Like I said, that's 2015 Trump. Nostalgia-wise, part of me was like, boy, I got to vote for my boy right there. But to be honest, once again, my faith, as I said many times, I'm actually thinking about staying home, and I have no qualms about it. I don't care who get mad about it. I feel actually so at peace to stay home, because this country needs, like it says in Deuteronomy 28 and 29, the only way this country can be saved, it won't be through Trump, it won't be through DeSantis, it can only be through Jesus Christ. And this country lacks repentance. So I think this country deserves Joe Biden. I think it deserves to get worse over the next 4 years, not better. So I don't really care.
Bryson,
Yes.
I want you to think this through.
I have.
You're about to get married.
Yes, can't wait.
You're going to have kids.
A lot.
You don't want to leave them what's coming. You don't want to leave them what we have right now.
I want them to fight against it, but it's inevitable. The Bible tells you it's inevitable. This country, this is the most demonic country, or the West is the most demonic part of this world. In the entire world, this country is so demonic. We're even trying to force other countries into our demonic behaviors. This country don't deserve a better president. This country don't deserve a good economy. This country deserves everything it has coming to him with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is what this country deserves right now, period. That's what this country deserves.
TJ, you got to help me out there. He's dang near throwing me the same knockout punch Trump threw last night.
Yeah, I think that's crazy talk. I think that's crazy talk. I think the Bible is littered with God rising up people to stop the depravity, right? Each prophet came in, warned them about their depravity, and then somebody would rise up, right? And so, I mean, this is.
But it requires repentance, though.
It certainly does. But look, I'm with you. When you said that it is not going to be Trump or DeSantis, it's only going to be Jesus, we could end the show right there. Couldn't agree more. I'm saying that I think when we get in the meantime, because I actually do think there's a Christian movement happening in America like I haven't seen. There are more people outwardly speaking about their faith than I've ever been aware of. So this Christian movement is starting to take root. What we can't have happen is for the laws to get turned upside down and make the fight harder. And so I don't want it to be outlawed to, we can get to the point where there are only men playing in women's sports. We can get to the point they could actually put a constitutional amendment in that you had to allow abortion, right? If you allow it to get too bad, that fight is very, very difficult. And just because we need to repent, and we do, I don't think we should sacrifice the lives of innocent people in the meantime.
24 say, and it's not sacrificing the lives of innocent people, because we talk about abortion. Like, let's just be honest. You can say Democrats will make certain things worse, but Trump won't make them better. Trump already said Bruce Jenner can use any bathroom he wants. Trump is better than Joe Biden. We obviously all agree on that topic. But as far as the issue regarding faith, let me be honest. Conservatives, they exploit children because it's the safest thing to say. They say, we're just against them pushing drag shows on kids, right? And that's what probably Trump will say. In reality, what a Christian should say is there should be no drag shows, period. There's no point in the Bible where a drag show would have been allowed. But in Matthew 24, this is why I love the Bible so much. In Matthew 24, Jesus gives us a view of what these times will look like. And it's going to get worse for Christians. And I feel like that's what we need. You talked about the Christian movement. The only reason why this Christian movement that you're speaking of is starting to grow is because we're seeing demonic forces take over this country more and more and more. So if people get back comfortable, that Christian movement will sort of slow down. We don't need comfortability. We need lions. We need warriors. And the only way you'll see them warriors is when we are tested. So I need more people tested.
Here's the only thing I'd say.
TJ, I want you to respond, but I do. Some of that landed well with me, Bryson, in terms of I do think TJ's right. I agree. Like, things are moving a good direction, but not nearly fast enough. And so I'm taking hope in, like, I've watched Tucker Carlson start to lean into his faith, and I'm inspired by that. Again, I saw Donald Trump last night start to explain, hey man, these people are evil. They're the crazy people. They want to kill babies at 7, 8, 9 months, and I'm the crazy person for blah, blah, blah. So I'm starting to see progress, but I'm not seeing progress fast enough to offset what's already been done and what they're planning. And so there's part of me that thinks you're right. It does have to get worse before it's really going to get better. And I understand some of your point about, like, yeah, they have backed us into a corner where we're saying, hey, just keep the drag stuff away from our kids. They've backed us into a corner on that. And instead of, anybody, go back and listen to the shows that we've done this week, they've been right on time. No wonder YouTube is censoring us so bad, because we've talked about just yesterday, about women and dominion of the earth and what God's responsibilities were to men beginning in Genesis, and how women are trying to unseat that. And we saw it just last night with the woman and what she tried to do to Donald Trump. And there was a show we did earlier Monday, and now this sucks getting old. You lose your train of thought. But I'm saying, TJ, and I'm turning back to you, is that I get where you're coming from, Bryson, and you're putting me on the spot in terms of, because part of me is, but part of me is just older and just like, hey man, let's take these baby steps. If we can get the drag queens out of the schools and away from our children, then the next thing we can do is get the drag queens back hiding somewhere, ashamed to be doing, what they're doing. So there's a process to it. But TJ, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't actually think Bryson and I are too far apart on this. The only thing that I'm saying is, at least for me, and maybe I don't represent the country, but what I'm seeing is I think it's bad enough. And that's why I'm seeing the Christian uprising. And so maybe it's not bad enough. And maybe Bryson's right about that. My view is that it is. And so I'm taking my cues from Matthew 5, and I'm trying to salt the earth and save as many babies as I can. And I don't want any more votes to go the wrong direction to murder more children. And so this stuff's important to me, because I think God is directing all of us, Christians, but me in particular, and you guys, to go out there and fight, and fighting politically, even for a candidate as imperfect as Donald Trump. And they're all imperfect. Trump's just more honest about it. But that guy will save some babies, and he already has. And he will help to some degree. And I'm with Bryson on this. The idea that Trump has basically sent out a memo that says the culture war is not that important, and Carrie Lake is out there this past week talking about it on Twitter. I'm not on board with that. To Bryson's point about the drag queen stuff, I sent out a tweet probably 2 or 3 months ago when this stuff was kind of hitting a crescendo, and I'm like, can we stop acting like the only thing wrong with drag shows is that kids are there? Drag shows are weird. Drag shows are totally abnormal. It's a mental illness that people are coming to throw money at a man dressed as a woman, and you think that's good entertainment. That stuff's crazy. I was at a restaurant with my brother the other day, and this will be the most controversial thing I'll say today, but I was at a restaurant with my brother the other day, and there was this flamboyant gay dude who just wanted you to know, without ever saying the words, hey, I'm gay, just so you know, everybody's gay. And I'm like, I want to go back to a world where you're ashamed of that. I do not want you to think it's okay for everybody to know that you're gay. That is sinful behavior. That's depravity. Look, even when I'm out with my wife, I'm not all over her. And so I'm not telling, one, I don't like the general behavior. But if I were all over my wife, it's kind of weird. Not everybody wants to watch it, but at least it's not sinful behavior. The idea that you can go out and be this flamboyant, it drives me insane. And so I want to go back to a world. I want to go back to an America where you're ashamed of that stuff because it's sinful and everybody wants to normalize everything. I don't want to normalize sin. I want us to go. You talked yesterday, Jason, about fat shaming. I want to go back to fat shaming. I do. I want to be able to point out.
I do too.
When Lizzo's out on television, get her off my screen. She's 800 pounds. She can barely fit on my screen. I don't want her on it. All right. This is true across the board. We have normalized everything. I'm tired of it. So Bryson, I'm very much with you on that. I don't think Trump's eyes are open as much as they need to be, but it is my job. Again, if we're starting from the very beginning, Royce White has talked about this. You cannot, how does he phrase it, Jason? You can't value life if you don't value life in the womb, something along those lines. And so I'm trying to save as many babies as I can. I think it's gotten bad enough. It sure has enough for me to go out and fight this battle as much as I can, and I hope that's true for everybody else as well.
So I want to, and this is, let me take care of our friend. I want to make one other point, but I want to take care of one of our great sponsors. who's been very loyal and supportive of us, and I need you guys to remain loyal and supportive of them, Nugenix. Guys, are you ready to boost? Are you ready to boost your testosterone, get your old self back? Our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, is offering a complimentary bottle when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword fearless. Are you ready to lose your shape, your muscle, your energy? As men, we age, we lose free testosterone, the man hormone. We lose that fire. It's harder to feel as alive and energetic, be as active. It's even harder to stay in shape. Now you can get that old fire back with Nugenix. Want more energy, more power to fight the negative physical effects of aging? Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen will help you turn back the clock and re-energize your life. It'll help you look and feel like the man you want to be. And now get a complimentary bottle when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword fearless. You guys know I've been fighting the battle of the bulge. I've been fighting my gluttony. I've been losing weight. Nugenix is part of my routine. This unprecedented formula with science-backed key ingredients to safely maximize your free and total testosterone levels helps you increase muscle mass and skyrocket your performance as you age. Nugenix is also the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone boosting brand. If you're not totally satisfied, Nugenix will refund 100% of your purchase price plus shipping and processing. Now get a complimentary bottle, Nugenix Total T, when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword fearless. Text it now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermal X, our newest and most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you lose fast and get lean fast, absolutely free. 231-231, keyword fearless. 231-231, keyword fearless. Message and data rates may apply. Doctor recommended brand by primary care physicians. Can't go wrong with Nugenix. Guys, I want to go back to my one other point about Donald Trump and last night and why I think things are going to be even better for Donald Trump. And we got about 10 minutes here, and I want to tack on some sports. I'm probably, the Korean Cosell, I may have to, because I want to stick with this Donald Trump conversation because I think it's important. I think Donald Trump's going to have better surrogates than he had in 2015 and 2016. I think there are some really smart, articulate, seasoned politicians that now that they know that Donald Trump has those 4 years of experience are going to feel far more comfortable and far more passionate in defending Donald Trump. And I think we saw that last night from Byron Donalds right after on CNN. Byron Donalds took on 5 people and destroyed them. I thought it was great. I don't know if Trump's surrogates.
Richard Grenell?
You thought he did a great job?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Richard Grenell's one of Trump's top surrogates. That's Trump's main man with the game plan. And he's a homosexual who says that being gay makes him a better Christian.
Okay, you threw me for a loop. Byron Donalds, this guy could be vice president. I thought he slayed the people. This is a long clip, about 3 minutes, but I thought it was beautiful what Byron Donalds did last night. Let's play the clip.
But a couple of things. First of all, town halls are for the voters, not for the press, not for the person who's the moderator. Kaitlan spent more time interjecting her own viewpoints or her own views on the situation.
Excuse me, those are actually facts, though.
Now, are you guys not going to interject your views on me, or do I get a chance to speak now?
If you're speaking falsely, those were facts.
The town hall is for the president to speak to the voters of New Hampshire, not for this back and forth with media. That's number one. Hold on. That's number one. Number two, with respect to Ukraine, I totally disagree. He did not say he was just going to give over Ukraine the way you intimate, Van. He did not say that.
He didn't say
what he said.
He did not say that he would stand for a victory.
What he said is that he would actually look for a solution to end it quickly. He put 24 hours on it, but let's be very clear. What Joe Biden has done has been a disaster because initially with with Ukraine. Joe Biden wanted to give Vladimir Zelensky a ride out of Dodge. He wanted to give him a plane ride. And it wasn't until people in Moscow, in Ukraine, here in the United States said this invasion is wrong that Joe Biden reversed course.
Do you want a victory in Ukraine? Do you want a victory in Ukraine?
I'm just trying to respond to everything that's been coming up on the table. Last thing, let me say this. We spent 22, 23 minutes talking about January 6th. We could have been talking about a whole lot of other issues instead of doing that for the first half hour or so. But let me be very clear. What was said in this town hall about National Guard troops that were authorized by Kaitlan was wrong. I'm on the Oversight Committee. I was in 2 hearings on January 6th. It was testified in oversight that Donald Trump authorized National Guard troops on January 4. He followed up in a call with then acting Secretary of Defense on January 5, trying to see where the deployment was on those troops. That is testimony in the Oversight Committee. Everybody testified in Oversight Committee when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, except one organization, and that was the Capitol Police.
Did you read the
because Nancy
Secretary of
Pelosi
Defense's
would
book?
not allow that. I'm telling you what was testified to in the Oversight Committee under oath.
Well, let me just correct you, because what Kaitlan was saying was what the former Secretary of Defense wrote in his book. He said the president did not.
I am telling you what he testified to under oath. In the Oversight Committee.
Congressman, can I just ask?
Are the facts? Go ahead.
You do acknowledge Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, correct?
Again, we're going to continue to talk about 2020.
No, I mean, it's a direct
right
question.
now, hold on. Let me tell you why most voters are frankly kind of tired of y'all bringing this up. Inflation, border.
You don't have the courage to express your opinion about what happened.
I'm a Republican voter. I'm a Republican voter.
Voters want to talk about inflation, the border, fentanyl, the debt ceiling, foreign policy. If you want to talk about the 2020 election, let's talk about this. We do know that Mark Elias was in many jurisdictions suing to actually change election procedures, which, by the way, is at the hands of the state legislature in every state, according to the Constitution. Not in the hands of courts, not in the hands of the Supreme Court. The state legislature. We do know that to be a fact. We do know that truly.
You won't state your opinion about factually what happened in the 2020
election. You guys
election?
want me to make a statement. And this is, Frank, let me tell you right now. This is what's frustrating to a lot of people. You want me to state it the way you want me to state it.
No, I don't.
I am telling you.
I want you to just answer the question.
And the reasons behind why certain people look at the 2020 election the way that they do.
I understand why some people believe it.
Moving forward into 2024, a couple of things are very, very clear. The nation is a mess. Our border is overrun. Inflation is crippling every family. Republican, Democrat, Independent. Those are the facts of the matter in 2024, not 2020.
Can I just ask you a question?
Not 2020.
6 people. And this whole thing, you don't have the courage to state on the record whether the 2020 election was rigged or not. Did you have the courage to call out them for the Russia hoax and for 4 years of Hillary and everybody and Rachel Maddow and them saying that Russia stole the election? Do you have the courage to acknowledge that lie and hoax of Russia is what inspired people to cheat in 2020? How do you prepare people's mind to cheat and do things that are illegal? You tell them, hey, the guy running for president is Adolf Hitler. And 2, you tell him, and he cheated to become president. So that justifies in their mind cheating. But none of y'all have the courage to call that out. Does Anderson Cooper or the woman in yellow is allegedly a Republican? Yes, she was allegedly a Republican that's jumping in there. Do they have the courage to come on and say, hey, the FBI set people up on January 6th. Do you have the courage to say that Ray Epps, nothing happened to him, the man's on tape encouraging all this nonsense and BS? You don't have the courage to call that out. And now you want to call out a congressman that's doing you a favor, coming on your show, the only voice of sanity in the whole deal, and you want to call him a coward because he doesn't want to talk about he doesn't want to go on record about the 2020 election. Everybody knows the damn thing was stolen. You're the cowards and the liars that won't acknowledge that there are legitimate reasons for people to think Joe Biden, a corpse who wouldn't come out of his basement, got 81 million votes, and we're not supposed to be suspicious?
More votes than Obama, by the way.
We're not supposed to be suspicious, and they're acting like this dude's a coward. I mean, cut it out. But I love what I saw from Byron Donalds. Hope to get him on the show soon. This guy could end up being president.
That was a excellent job, I just saying. I've never seen him in a situation under pressure. I've seen him in the quick little interviews. He did. That's a top tier job, A++. He did a heck of a job. I have no criticisms at all.
TJ.
Yeah, I've seen him one other time. Like he's phenomenal. He knows his facts. He's very well prepared. He seems like a guy that has been professionally taught how to debate, because when he evades questions, he doesn't look like he's evading questions, and that's a skill, because he always finds a way to repurpose what he's saying. And so, to your point about having the right surrogates, if Trump can get people like Kayleigh McEnany, who I'm not sure there's ever been a better press secretary than Kayleigh, standing up there and just lighting into people with her with her book every day. She would open up and say, well, you're from the New York Times. Here's the stupid thing that you said today. How do you explain that? You got to get people like Byron Donalds, people like Kayleigh McEnany, people who are not ashamed of Donald Trump's character. Because what people have to understand, and this is what I acknowledged almost immediately, probably 2015, 2016, because, nobody knows anything about Donald Trump, but you don't want to have to take on his personal character and defend it, because those aren't your actions. So separate yourself from his character and figure out, like Byron Donalds did last night, that I can defend the agenda, and that actually 60+ million Americans are willing to vote for him. They're not ashamed of him. Why should you be ashamed of him? And he's got to get people around him that are not tucking their tail and apologizing for Donald Trump's behavior. And I think that's what Byron Donalds and Kayleigh McEnany have in spades. They understand, here's what the American people care about. They don't care about this lawsuit against Donald Trump from a woman he's never met. I promise you they don't care. And CNN's talking all about how, it took all of 30 seconds for Donald Trump to get out his first lie. Well, it took Katie about 15 seconds to get hers out when she said that he got sued and convicted of his sexual assault, when he didn't. It was for defamation. They let him off on the rape allegations. And so it's one thing after the next. You don't have to defend his character. I'm certainly not going to. I don't have to defend anything that I did not personally do. What I have to defend is my vote. And that's what Byron Donalds did yesterday. He said, American people care about this. This is what I'm talking about. And so that's what Donald Trump has figured out as well.
Not only, I don't have a problem defending Donald Trump's character compared to Joe Biden's character. I have no problem. Joe Biden's daughter said this man took showers with her.
Facts.
And some woman pulled something out of her rear end from 30 years ago and said, oh, he raped me at a grocery store or shopping mall, or it's all some BS. Joe Biden's daughter, in a diary not intended for public consumption, said this man took showers with her, and she was uncomfortable with it.
Inappropriate showers. She made sure to put the word inappropriate in there.
This man's son, there's all kinds of evidence that this man and his son made millions of dollars accepting money from foreign countries for influence. And so they can have... Donald Trump, in a private conversation, told some other reporter, I grab him by the vagina. Compared to showering inappropriately with your daughter?
I don't even think anything was wrong outside of course, because he isn't like a stern Christian. What he said was objectively true, because he didn't say he grabbed women by the vagina. He said women let him grab them by the vagina because he's famous and rich. Of course they do. People got to stop acting like this isn't reality. I was popular where I'm from for making music, and women used to offer us the craziest things after them shows. Just toss themselves at you. What he said is true, and he said it in his deposition. He said not every woman, but a lot of women do, which is an objective truth. So I'll defend Trump on that point all day long.
See, you've taken me so, because now I'm just sitting there thinking, you're 1,000% right. I'm sitting here thinking right now, and I'm not saying this in any way that I'm proud of it, but I'm talking about me being on television and me making a bunch of money and me being popular. I'm sitting here thinking right now about being at a pool party in Las Vegas and some woman pulling her her bikini bottom down to show me her back end and vagina just because I was famous.
Yep.
And so when someone talks about the reality of their existence and what is going on, what's been normalized in the culture and how it's... So I don't have a problem defending a guy's character, particularly in comparison to Joe Biden, and particularly let's take his daughter out of. Joe Biden brought Dylan Mulvaney into the White House, sat down, and basically has told everybody, hey, we should be mutilating kids' private parts and,
no
what
limits.
Is it, affirming care? What do they call it? Gender affirming care, and all of that. This guy is promoting this transgenderism and this total behavior that's in complete objection to the will of God. And CNN and these other reporters, because Donald Trump called somebody a nasty person and had some locker room talk with a male reporter and some nut job from 30 years ago gets to make some Brett Kavanaugh type allegations against him and some court or some jury signs off on it. Man, they can miss me with all that BS.
Yeah. Well, don't forget.
I just...
This guy, he raised Hunter Biden. Okay, that may be the worst thing on his resume. This dude raised Hunter Biden and was showering with his daughter at when she was 7 years old. His position on gender affirming care is that you should be able to get gender transition surgery, as though that's a thing, at any age. They asked about. They actually, I think it may have been Peter Doocy asking a couple weeks ago, hey, should there be an age limit on this? They said, no, that's between the parents. So you as a parent could give your 1-year-old gender affirmation surgery. It's the craziest thing.
Himself a Catholic, and he's pro-abortion.
Disgusting.
So.
That's character.
That's crazy.
Either you stand on your beliefs and your faith, or you don't. That's character.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Anyway, I'm sorry that. You know what? That's a perfect ending for the show, and not. I got to talk about our friends at Preborn and saving innocent lives and how paramount that is to this show and what we're trying to accomplish with the Fearless movement. I talk about it all the time. Understanding that life begins in the womb is the key to understanding how to operate when life enters the world. And you have to get in that mindset. And it's if you adopt that mindset that life begins in the womb, and how can you reject the fact that life begins in the womb when there's all this science and data? They love science and data. Science and data says if you read to your child while they're in the womb, they'll be smarter. So how are you going to tell me life doesn't begin in the womb if the actions you take while the child is in the womb will impact them when they are birthed and start experiencing life outside the womb? It's an illogical argument. Everybody knows it. Preborn fights the evil, satanic pro-abortion movement. They save babies' lives. They introduce expected mothers to their baby with an ultrasound, shows them the baby. Here's the baby's heartbeat. Women make different decisions. And then Preborn comes in and provides that woman with all the essential tools and care and support that she needs the first 2 years of that baby's life. It's a never-ending process. They do God's work. Preborn is awesome. It's a big part of this show. $28 sponsors an ultrasound. $140 sponsors 5 ultrasounds. All you have to do pound 250, keyword baby, or you can give the Jason Whitlock way, preborn.com/Jason. Your love has the power to save a life. We're fearless soldiers. We take this very seriously. Support Preborn. All right, thank you guys so much. Awesome show. Bryson and TJ did a great job. I did the best that I could. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, no deceiving. We all wanna be free.